according to the World Economic Forum, SMEs contribute 50% to the continent's GDP and are responsible for 80% of overall employment. As the growth engine of the African economy, how can SMEs be better supported, especially by banks, to help the sector thrive where intra-Africa trade is concerned? Judah Mphela, who's head of Absa Business Banking for the group's Africa regional operations, joins us with more insight. Judah, thank you for your time. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Very interesting conversation we're having here today indeed, because of course the important one here is we often repeat over and over again that SMEs are indeed the growth engine of every economy. But what we do find is the fact that the formal economy hasn't been good at responding to these SMEs.
But it's mainly because, Nobuchando, the formal economy doesn't really understand what's the core of the SME needs. Us at Absa Regional Operations, we believe that, and this we've learned through interactive with different SMEs in our various platforms, that there's two basic needs that the SMEs want. One is access to finance, and the challenge with that is many people think that just by throwing finance and money, they're actually solving the SMEs problem. But that doesn't really completely serve the needs. The second need is actually helping them to succeed. Most of the SMEs are saying to us, please help me succeed. That means that they need non-financial assistance. That can be skills transfer, access to market, and on optimizing the SME businesses.
Very interesting, yeah, because of course the bank has not traditionally played an advisory role here, but it looks like that's changing if we are to respond to SMEs on the continent effectively.
Correct. As a bank, if you just take a step back and think of what a bank does, a bank has got all the skill sets that any business needs, from accounting to product knowledge to market access to networking. So we are trying to avail all of these tools to SMEs to succeed. We have flagship programs that don't necessarily focus on financing, but focus on skills development for these SMEs. We've got partnerships with organizations like Mastercard Foundation, where we run SME clinics in Ghana. And we also got real estate that we avail to SMEs in terms of access to office space, meeting space, simple things such as access to Wi-Fi, make a difference.
Another interesting aspect here, I guess, is the fact that where we are seeing the least support at Judah is with what we call early stage entrepreneurs. I'm very keen to speak about this specific kind of business, what characterizes it as early stage, and maybe even the targeted support that then is required for these businesses that are asking you to help it succeed.
Yeah. Another fun fact that I always throw around is that if 80% of the formal businesses don't actually get access to finance. I mean, the formalized businesses that have orders that they need to fulfill have got a $80 to $100 billion shortfall. Now you can imagine in the formative space of SMEs, that gap is pretty much critical. Now, to answer your question, businesses at startup have to go through an incubation period, and that's where they need hand-holding mostly. We offer solutions such as accounting packages or accounting solutions for businesses to manage their solutions. We've got other expertise that we offer. We offer mentorship through our various programs. I think I mentioned the Mastercard Foundation, but we also have a flagship program for women, the Women in Business, which actually just in June we hosted an Inspire Me conference, which managed to bring 10,000 plus women from across the continent. We gave them access to networks, access to markets, but also mentorship from business to business.
I must also ask you here about, of course, then getting SMEs intercontinental trade friendly. That's also a different kind of business. It isn't necessarily the similar hand-holding of an early stage startup. It does, of course, speak to a business that is advanced to a certain level. What level would that be, Judah? Then what support is necessary, for that opportunity to be taken advantage of?
Yeah. So more of your established business will say they've reached saturation within their markets, or they are in markets that are very competitive, but they're actually looking to export most of what they produce. As you know, the continent, we are full, in terms of agriculture and manufacturing. So therefore, we provide platforms that allow our businesses to gain networks in other markets. And an example of that would be in Kenya last year, through our business club, we took over 30, SMEs in agriculture to bring them down to Cape Town to bridge that supply chain gap with our South African counterparts, and also to build networks with the farming community in the Western Cape.
And I thought that's also interesting here, I guess, is as we see businesses become export ready, a localization strategy also becomes important here, so that, the benefits really are as material as we'd like them to be. How does that work together, I think, with preparing businesses for export here, a strong localization strategy? And are we seeing those kinds of localization strategies emerge from the continent?
100% they do. We look at that through what we call an ecosystem banking, whereby you just don't look at just one aspect of the business, but you look at the entire value chain, from the suppliers to the distributors, to the retailers, to the consumers. So if you look at that entire value chain and understanding how that value chain operates, you are able to actually solve for that localization and allow that value chain for sustainable exportation. And we are seeing more and more that most of our big clients that are also our corporate clients, East Africa Brewery, which is one of them, are starting to look at that whole supply value chain and seeing how they make that work and make all that supply chain easy for exportation. And of course, we've mentioned Africa-Free Continental Trade. That has allowed us, to tap into that and to consume that.
Well, Judah, that's all we have time for today. Very interesting development today. Thank you so much for speaking to us about this one, a very important topic there around SMEs on the continent. That was Judah Mphela, Head of Business Banking for Absa's Africa Region Operations.